Are you ready to learn more about what job skills are most important for Salesforce admins? Welcome to Expert Corner, where I sit down with Salesforce experts to get you, Salesforce admins, the information you need now. Please make all purchasing decisions based on currently available technology. Today, I'm joined by Gillian Bruce, Principal Admin Evangelist, who has spent years investigating, learning, and working with Salesforce admins, organizations, and hirers in the Salesforce jobs ecosystem. She's here to share important insight with us about what job skills matter for you. Thank you so much for joining us today, Gillian.
My pleasure, Leanne. It's my first time on Expert Corner. This is exciting.
Well, we're super excited, and I'm really excited for so many of our Salesforce admins to get a chance to meet you. I know many people in our community have probably been seeing you on stage at Dreamforce and TDX for a long time, hearing your voice on the Salesforce Admins podcast and all of the other content that you put out. However, we do have new members of our community every day. So I want to make sure that we are introducing you properly to everybody who might be joining us on video. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your Salesforce journey.
Oh man. Well, let's see. I have been at Salesforce 12 years, actually, as of May. So I am very happy to be a San Francisco native, actually. And so I'm still here, which is great. I went to college, went and did a stint doing some environmental advocacy out in DC after that, and then came back home and through a friend of a friend said, "Hey, why don't you interview for this job at a tech company?" I'm like, okay. And I started at Salesforce actually as an administrative assistant and worked for a vice president of technology program management, and then just kind of kept moving around. So, I think my story might be relatable to a lot of admins who, found themselves unintentionally where they were encountering Salesforce for the first time. That was definitely the case with me. I think I worked at Salesforce for about a year until I actually started using Salesforce. And so, this is the first thing I started using was Chatter. And that was how I was able to really streamline some of the processes that my group was painfully doing across many different things like email and spreadsheets. So I got to kill a couple spreadsheets, which is really exciting.
Love it.
And then it just kind of took off from there and, did a lot of communicating about tech changes with the admin community before we really had any awesome admin anything going on. And hooked up with Sarah Franklin as she had kind of come back to Salesforce after being at Amazon for a little bit. And we built #AwesomeAdmin. And Leanne, you were part of that as well. I think, you were one of the first 3 people on the team. So, the history from there. But yeah, this has been an amazing journey. And I got to tell you, empowering and inspiring and enabling Salesforce admins to do amazing things on the platform is one of the most rewarding jobs that I have ever had the fortunate opportunity to have. So that's where I'm at.
I love that. Blast from the past. I love the nostalgia that we get to have about, being part of the Salesforce admins community for so long. You and I both were part of the community in different ways before we were working with the community at Salesforce. And I know one thing that's always been really near and dear to your heart, and I've always really admired about the work that you've been doing the past few years is, in your role at Salesforce today, I know you do a lot of work with people on a lot of different stages and steps of their career journeys. And I know, like you just mentioned, that's something that's close to your heart, close to your own story. Can you share a little bit about some of the ways that you're working with members of the community today, maybe working with organizations on career journey?
Yeah. So one of the things that I think has been really striking to me and what continues to drive me to want to continue to do this work is hearing directly from folks about how they have been able to grow their careers because of various things that our team has been able to help them with, right? So whether it's technical skills, which are super duper important. I mean, here we are, we're all working on Salesforce. Like it's really important that we learn that. But there has always kind of been another thread that really is really important, especially to being a successful Salesforce admin. And that's kind of aside from knowing the platform, these kind of business skills. So I've heard, I think I've been working with the admin community for 8+ years at this point. And there's always all these stories, right? Hey, it's not just about knowing what the platform does. It's about knowing how to work within the business, how to do all these different things. And so over the last year, we've actually been working as a team to get some real deal feedback from employers, from admins in the wild, from different people who have grown their admin career about, hey, what are those skills? Can we hone those down? Can we narrow them down? Can we kind of get more specific about what it is that truly makes a successful Salesforce admin or #awesome admin? And so, yeah, we've been working with a lot of workforce development organizations. I've been working on and off with JBS for many years. We have our Pathfinder organization, Climb Higher, Pep Up Tech. I mean, gosh, we've got so many great community partners that over the years we've just learned a ton from. And so we're really excited because we're about to launch kind of the findings and the results of the first step of this process, of this research, to really help further enable the admin community to build and grow their own careers and to help employers hire the right kinds of admins.
And I think that's so important. I think our community and hopefully our viewers feel like that's so important too, because what you just talked about, it's really interesting to look at, right? Like there's a lot of really wonderful nonprofits, groups, clubs, organizations that are doing this work of career development. There's organizations at Salesforce like Pathfinder that are doing this, that are working to prepare people for jobs in the admin's ecosystem. And something that you're doing, like you just talked about, is talking to all of these groups, talking to employers, talking to admins, and learning what are they finding in that career ecosystem? What does that look like for admins? And I'm really interested to hear, I know, we're not going to have time to cover all of it today, although I would love to, but I would love to hear a little bit, based on your experience and based on having this kind of, I hate using this term, but 20,000 foot view of what all of these different organizations are doing and learning. What are some things that came up a lot? What are some of those trends that you saw that, would be interesting to our admins today, that are happening out in the jobs ecosystem?
Well, so one of the impetuses for us really kind of taking this on was we kept seeing that a lot of job postings didn't necessarily match what the organization truly needed, right? So, for example, a lot of first people looking for that first admin job are like, okay, so everyone who wants to hire their first, an entry level Salesforce admin is saying you need to already have 5 years of experience. That doesn't make a lot of sense. So that's kind of one of the reasons we wanted to dig deep. And one of the things we kept finding is that employers just don't have a lot of resources, right? So if you're using Salesforce for the first time, you don't know how to hire an admin. You don't know what specific things they need to be able to do. Similarly, if you're a job seeker, whether it's your first Salesforce admin job or you're continuing to grow your carear, it was kind of this nebulous thing. Like there's this admin magic, but what is that really, right? I can go to Trailhead and I can learn a ton of technical knowledge. I can take certifications, but what is that admin magic thing of what makes really a Salesforce admin special? And so what we've been able to do is kind of narrow down a little bit to some core responsibilities. And then we actually have named actual 14 skills. Mm-hmm. And what we've done is we've been able to kind of break it all down. And so those 14 skills are not every admin needs to have them or every job description needs to have them, but we've categorized them about what it might look like if you are a first-time admin, if you're an experienced admin, if you are an employer looking to include this into a job description, really kind of breaking that down. And then also resources to help you further develop that skill. So for example, business analysis is one, communication, problem solving. There are 14. I can go through all 14 of them if you want. But I think that kind of that 20,000 step view is we're helping further kind of give maps of how you can really navigate the Salesforce admin career ecosystem. Choosing your own, there are many different types of admins and there are many different types of organizations who need different types of admins. It's not just an admin is an admin is an admin. But there are definitely these core skills that you find in pretty much every role, some version of them.
Yeah. When you talk about having sometimes the job listings don't match up to what a company really needs, it makes me think of those posts out there that we've seen that ask for 10 years of lightning experience. I feel
In a couple of years, sure, that's
Impressive.
possible.
But yeah, I think that that's so important, right? Because there are so many different types of admins or groups of admins at companies, and the type of work that they're doing, or the products that they're working on, or the features they need to maintain or develop or build with.
Yeah.
What's your favorite skill? Can I ask that? Is that like picking a favorite child? Like, do you have any favorite skills that you uncovered in this process? Like close to your heart?
Yeah, I would say so for me, there's kind of two I would pick out. So number one is problem solving, because when we did like our initial surveys to send out to the community and be like, okay, how do you describe what you do as a Salesforce admin? Problem solving is always one of the top things.
Mm-hmm.
And whether you're a Salesforce admin or you want to be a Salesforce admin, problem solving is important for no matter what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the big things that I've always heard too is if someone's transferring their skills from another career into a Salesforce admin career, it's hard for them to draw like, okay, so you may have not built apps before, but I bet you've solved some problems before, right? Like, so that one is really, really a very powerful one to me. And then another one, it might sound basic, but communication. Communication is so important, especially in the Salesforce admin role, right? Because you're not only communicating with like, maybe your team, but you're communicating with all your users, you're communicating to your stakeholders, your management, you're communicating maybe with external teams that you're working with, developers, architects. That's a really, really core skill that I think needs to be communicated and spelled out in order to really focus on what that looks like in the role of a Salesforce admin.
Yeah, communication is so important. I think I love those two skills because I think you can build something cool, but if you don't drive adoption, if you don't tell people about it, if you're not tying it to the business problems, then maybe they won't know about it, right? So you don't want to build something cool in a vacuum, right? You want people to use it. That's a marker of success as an admin, that people are using your solutions that you built. And of course, I love problem solving. So that would probably be my favorite if I had to pick, is problem solving.
I was going to say, Leanne, this is kind of like your core, like this is what you do. You build
my core skill is problem solving. It's my favorite thing to do. But it's true. As I said, my very first job at Salesforce was in tech support. And so much of what we did and so much of what the admins did, one of the groups that I supported was reports and dashboards tech support for tier 3. And so a lot of the questions that were coming in were questions from end users that were, why can't I see X? And as every admin knows, often like 95% of the time, if there's an issue with your report, there's an issue with permissions or visibility or some sort of security, is not set up in the way that maybe that person's expecting it to be set up. So it's very fun to problem solve those.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think you would be hard pressed to find someone who is a successful Salesforce admin and doesn't enjoy solving problems, right? It's that payoff you get when you resolve that issue for that specific person, or you figured out that tough, complex, weird web of business processes. And you're like, no, here is now a beautiful solution that I have built for you in Flow.
Admins are amazing. I love seeing the solutions people come up with. Admins are amazing at problem solving. So you've built this kind of catalog of skills, this kit of skills that admins should be looking at and assessing and seeing, where do they stack up, right, against those skills? Maybe is this an opportunity for admins to consider where to do their own educational planning, maybe some of their own growth planning? Tell me some of the ways that admins should think about how to use this skills kit.
Well, so the skills kit is very robust. Like I said, we spent a lot of time kind of putting a lot of the thought and energy into it. I would say there's 3 immediate ways I would think about how to use this skills kit, right? So, okay, let's say you're already a Salesforce admin and you're like thinking about like, okay, how do I capture the work that I do to show my value to my employer, or to go for that promotion? Or maybe I'm interested in like going to the next level. What does that mean? Moving maybe into a more senior admin role, or maybe moving to a different organization. The skills kit is going to give you the framework to help you describe the work that you do that is not just what you've built in Salesforce. So it'll help you understand like, how to describe the user management you've been doing, or how to describe the security management that you've been doing, how to describe, how you've been using the designer's mindset to create what you've been creating. The second way I would say that I would recommend you look at it is, hey, if you are an employer or you are hiring another admin onto your team, this is a great way to really this is a guide to help you put language around, again, the non-technical pieces that you need from that new team member that you're going to be hiring. And we have some examples there. What's great about it is it's not a one size fits all, right? So you can kind of pick and choose based on what best fits the type of organization you are, the type of role you're looking for. Like I said, there's a lot of different kinds of admins who will do a lot of different things. And so we have recommendations for we have suggestions for what you can use to describe those different levels. Now, thirdly, if you are net new to Salesforce ecosystem, you are looking for that first Salesforce admin job, this is a way to really identify what skills you can bring over from previous experience, because I bet you're going to find that you have a lot of experience already under your belt that will be useful in your future role as a Salesforce admin. So don't discount that. This will give you language to talk about what that looks like in the Salesforce space and maybe start describing that skill set in that way. And we have a whole bunch of resources for each skill so that you can further develop that and focus on that. So, and it's not just all Trailhead content. Trailhead is amazing, but we have more for you as well. We've got different videos, blogs, podcasts, all kinds of resources to really help you build up that skill and develop it so that you are ready to really, kill it in your first Salesforce admin job.
I love it. Well, I'm really excited for the skills kit for admins to get hands-on with the skills kit and to continue to build out their skills and for this to hopefully, bring that additional clarity and direction for all the employers out there too, that are building these job descriptions. So they know how to, make it really clear what they need and communicate that with job candidates.
Yep. That's what it's all about. We got to match them up.
Awesome. I love it. And don't worry if you didn't catch any links. We're going to have links in the show notes. Make sure to check out the show notes for this video because it'll have everything you need to start getting hands-on with the admin skills kit.
Awesome. We can't wait to see what you think of it. Give us feedback. There's a link on the landing page to actually give us feedback and tell us what you think about the skills kit. So this is a living resource. We will continue to iterate it based on what you tell us.
I love it. Thank you so much for joining us here today, Gillian.
My pleasure, Leanne. It's so nice to be on with you.
Love it. We'll see you again soon. That was awesome. I love hearing from Gillian and learning more about those Salesforce skills and how they can impact your career path. To learn more, make sure to visit the show notes so you can get to that skills kit that Gillian mentioned and start looking at all of the skills that are relevant for the Salesforce admin's career path. That's all for today, and I hope you'll join me next time on Expert Corner.